Hello everybody, welcome to IT Skills channel. My name is Aiden. In this video, we're going to take a look at part 2 of configuring our ASA journey. And so as you can see on the video title, ASA firewall, that's what we're doing. And I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple things first. Before we get further along here, this is my architecture of the firewall or environment, if you will. And in this environment, I'm simply going ahead and configuring all this to my liking, so that way it will work. We already done this in the last video. We already went ahead and got a WAN IP, the ACP from the port 0 G0, and we also we configure a static IP and set up a DHCP on that static IP on 10.1.1, and we got an IP DHCP from 10.1.150 to 10.1.200. So that's what we done. In the next part of here, what we need to do is configuring our Nutanix subnet or is Nutanix port. So that way the IPs are specific to Nutanix environment, and if I see this IP, I'll immediately know it's actually our Nutanix cluster. And then after that, we're going to configure a server. But I think the main thing we're going to try to do in this video is going to be configuring that and then configuring the server one. And after that, if we have some time, we might configure the rest of them. That's what the plan is. Let's go ahead and get started. So to connect here, I actually I have a device already in my environment, the laptop. This is my laptop I'm RDPing into. And the laptop I'm RDPing into is basically set up in a way where I have connected to a COM port through USB 3. And I'm going to go ahead now, simply try to go ahead and actually set it up again. So let's go ahead to our PuTTY session. I should already have active session. This is what our setup looks like right now. We have a DHCP of this address. That's our WAN link. This is the IP address we configured, and it's up and running. We now need to configure G02 or Ethernet, gigabit Ethernet 2, if you will. And we need to see it. You can see it says down, and then we also need to try to configure, gigabit Ethernet 3. So that's what we need to do. So let's go ahead and do this. First things first, I'm gonna go ahead and type in interface G0/1, or actually 2. 1, I already have it set up to something else. So 2, we select it. I'm gonna go ahead, name the interface first, name if, and we're gonna name this one Nutanix. That's what we're going to name the interface, Nutanix. And by default, the interface security level is set to 0 because Nutanix is actually a known environment for Cisco, a known phrase. So that's why it's set to 0. So we don't need to set up. We're not going to change the security right now. We're going to keep it as it is and see if that will later on cause us issue or give us any problem. But right now it's good to go. We're going to keep it as it is. The next thing we need to do is, before we do anything else, type in IP address, and then the IP address we're choosing here is going to be 192.168.2.1, and then subnet mask is going to be class C subnet mask 255.255.255.0, and then we're going to hit enter. So that's good. And the next thing we're going to need to try to do is going to be, going ahead and setting the port on. The port is not on right now. So we're going to go ahead, no shut. We're going to type in no shut or no shutdown, whichever command you want. And then the next thing we're going to try to do is going to be running the IP show interfaces IP brief command. And I think I done that already in a last session command. So I'm going to just go ahead and show the IP interface brief. So this is what we got going on. You can see it's still down because right now I haven't really connected to anything. And it's set to manual because I'm configuring by myself. So before we go ahead do anything else, I'm going to go ahead, change my laptop, grab this port, and I connect to my laptop to the next port, which is G02, and we're gonna run the command again, see if it's coming on. So you can see as soon as I plug my laptop in, it says up and up. So that's good. It's not down anymore. But we're not done, because if you look at my laptop right now, this is the port we're looking at, and this is the old setting. So let me go ahead and actually go to the probably. You can see here that's the old one. So I need to probably turn off the port and then turn it back on to get a refresh. So that way we'll see. I haven't set up DHCP yet, so this should not be getting us anything right in this minute. So here it is, and there should be no network. Like, that's it. We have no IP, nothing. And so I have to set up a DHCP next, and the DHCP command will be typing DHCPD and then setting up the IP address that way. So let's just go ahead, and instead of typing in this is with one hand, like I'm holding the mic with my other hand, I'm gonna copy and paste things. So I'm gonna just go ahead, instead of the DHCP mask is gonna be, let me type in here 192.2.1, or how many address do I need? I'm actually gonna get up to 10, and then give me the same other IP, 192.168.2.200. And I'm gonna have to erase this inside, because it's not gonna be inside, it's gonna be Nutanix. So that's what we're gonna type. I'm just gonna copy paste this command. Everything else will be the same. So I copy and paste. Actually, it's gonna say invalid address, because I made a mistake over there. You can see here I missed that 10 address. So after this, it's supposed to be 10 that, and then that. So that should be the right address, because that's why it's telling us it's invalid. So just make sure you don't make that mistake. And it says here invalid marker not detected. So let me see here, 210 to 200. Still not doing it, and I think I know why. Let me go back here. All right, so I needed to add a space to it, or dash to it, and I did not do it, so I missed that. So I fixed it now, so we should be good to getting a DCP now. And in fact, I'm gonna go ahead and add the 10 back, because I don't like the 50, so I want to get the lowest address possible. So let's go ahead 10. There you go. We're good to go on that, but we're not done with the commands. The next command we need to set up is gonna be the DNS, because without DNS, how is this gonna go out to the internet, right? And so we're gonna have to go ahead and actually set that up. So now that we set up our DNS, we're gonna go ahead and set up the lease period as well. That's fine for now. And then we're gonna go ahead and set up the timeout. To 1000. And I missed that. I didn't copy the DHCPD. All right, the next thing we're gonna set up is gonna be actually the most important command, which is enabling it. Right now, without enabling it, nothing's really working. If you check about this computer right now, which is plugged in, you're gonna see that it's not getting anything right now. So we're gonna have to enable that. When we enable it, we can do resets and stuff, and then we can try to get it working. So that's the DHCP is enabled now. So that should be all we needed to do for this port situation. Let's see, are we gonna be able to do this automatically? No, we're gonna turn off the port and then turn it back on, or rather we're gonna go ahead, disable this, enable network connectivity. It should look for DHCP now. It's still not there yet. It just came back on. Status, nothing yet. So I'm gonna have to probably reset the switch by doing a shutdown and then no shut. Let me do this. Shut down. And it does take a little bit too, by the way, so I'm just gonna be rushing it by doing shutdown. Interface G0/2 shut down. And then we're gonna do no shut. Before I show you the no shut, let's take a look at it if it's really shut down. You can see it says down, administrative down, and then we're gonna do no shut again. All right, now we did that. We're gonna check the brief interface. Still not there yet. It takes a second before it's come back on. I'm just doing it. So now it's up and up. So that should be good now. So let me check the network controller area, and then let's see if we're actually getting, if we're cooking or not. So far, nothing still. And the DCP is on. I can confirm actually. So what we need to do now is actually do some Windows troubleshooting, because our DCP is good to go. It says we connect to the internet because we're doing it through the Wi-Fi, so that's no problem. So let me do this old IP config. All right, so let's try back to connect to this. So we're connecting back to that now, and we're trying to see if it's actually gonna show us anything different. We may have set up a route, but I'm not gonna do it right now, anything special. And but we need to first of all get the IP address to the port. Let me do this. Take down the cable, plug it back in. We're just messing with the cable right now, nothing else special. So now that we configure this, what we need to do is wait for the IP address to show up for the DHCP. And if we get that, then we should be up and running. But we are just waiting period right now. And if I'm in doubt, I'm always going to run the commands again just to make sure it is actually, applied correctly. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do over here. And then let me put in the note for our DCP IP address. We're going to say continue working. So our DCP IP address, we're going to copy here. We're going to modify our network. It should be 192.168.2. So that's the DCP address that we're gonna give it to. Actually, we're giving this to .10. All right. So now we're waiting. Is it gonna be actually complying with us? Nothing yet, and we're not getting enough packets. So I think it's safe to say that we're gonna have to run this again and make sure that it's actually working. So let's go ahead, run the commands one more time. And then we need to not forget our dash. Oh, you know what? This is my problem right there. I didn't enable it for the proper thing. On the last command we run, it should have been for the instead of saying inside, we should have done it this way. We should have enabled this port exactly, because we run it. If you remember here, this command, we said enable, where is it at? Where is the one we say? There was a command we set the DHCP to enable, and that command was not the right one. So we need to actually do this again. See how we say enable inside. So that's the wrong command. So I just need to type this again. Make sure I'm selected to the right port first of all. Interface G0/02, and then enable inside or Nutanix. The name of that's the wrong one. I copied the wrong one again. So let me go ahead and copy the right one. So let's come over here. There you go. That's the wrong one. There you go. Now it should be good. Now it should be all we needed. So inside, there's no such thing. Inside is the other one, and I don't need it to do that. So now we did that. Let's go to our network. Sometimes that's what it is. We just have to kind of not rush ourselves, and I think we were kind of a little bit rushing over here. So nothing yet, but if I disable this, and then I enable it back, we should be getting the IP 192.168.2.10, and if we should see DHCP working. Nothing yet, but there you go, it's working now. As you can see, we started to receive packets. So the good lesson here is that make sure you put your documentation up to date so it does reflect on the changes you're making. You can see here we got the IP address 2.10, 2.1. Now we still don't have internet connectivity yet, but we do have DHCP working, and the internet connectivity should be working relatively soon. And we're gonna wait for it. I may have to do some routing, but I'm not gonna do anything right now. I'm gonna wait for this to do its magic, its thing. And also, I want to show you this one. If I do IP config /all, you should see that now on our interface we have an IP set up for it. 2.10, 2.1, 2.1 for the gateway, and then IP address is 2.10. So we're good. This is all the information we provided to as part of the DHCPD command. So we should be good to go, but we still are not good to go. So we need to figure out why are we still not good to go, why we don't have the internet connectivity. So that's what we're gonna troubleshoot next. All right, so now what we need to do is we're going to do some routing. So I already put down the command we need to do. So this one is going to be route for the first network, which is 10.1.1 that we needed to do earlier, and we also need to do another route for the other one. So let's come over here. We're going to come over here. I'm going to make another command for the second interface we have. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to tell it to route. Let me change the name of this to route the network traffic. And we also need to set up like a network object rule. So I'm going to say Nutanix. So that's what we're gonna do. But before we do that, we're gonna do the first one. We're gonna copy this. Oops. Actually, we need to not run this. We need to run this on the other port, the other interface. So we need to do interface G0/1, and then we're gonna run this too, and we're also gonna run the route for the inside one. And then we're gonna do this is testing the interface before we route the other one. So there's no point in routing all the traffic if it's not gonna work. So we're gonna wait for this interface inside 10.1.1.50 to work. And if it does work, then we can do the rest of the routing. And you can tell we're getting a lot more packets. It should be working right now. There you go. The routing worked for the inside. And then we're going to need to go ahead and actually unplug this one from that IP, from that port. And we're going to go to the Nutanix port and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to need to save it, this one. And then we're going to need to switch to that second port interface. G0/2. And then we're going to go ahead and actually right there, basically copy this command to get the Nutanix one routing again. Right now, what we're getting is, let me show you the situation right now before we make the changes. So you can see before and after. Right now, the situation is that we simply are getting IP address, but we don't have any routing going on. It's not getting routed properly. So it says no internet access either. So what we need to do is now we're going to go ahead and copy this command. It's just simply going to tell it to not the interface outside, dynamic interface. So we're going to hit enter. That's not going to be all, because that's all it's going to do is going to do the net. Next we need to do is actual route command. So we're going to go ahead and actually copy this one to route it to the entire outside. And that should work once we do this. So now, assuming I change this setup on the right port, we should be getting IP address, and we should be getting routing to outside. That's all depends on me whether I change it the right way or not. So now we're gonna wait for this, or I can disable and enable once more. So it's trying, but nothing yet. Let me disable this and then enable it back again. So we are not receiving a lot of packets. We're sending a lot. The receiving is not that great though. We wait patiently now, but I don't think it's gonna work without us making some changes to it. So we're gonna wait though. Let's check our notes. What do we missed possibly here? So that is all set up. Okay. That looks like all set up. I can go ahead and actually shut down the port and turn it back on. But other than that, I don't see anything else that I could possibly have missed. But again, we are human. We probably forgot about something. Okay, I'm going to come back for that one. Let's configure the next interface. We're going to troubleshoot that one and fix it. But I might be able to find what I need to do to fix it in the meantime. We're going to configure the next interface. So the next interface we have is going to be 10.10.0/24 subnet. And that's going to be our IP address for it. So let's go ahead and configure. So we're going to copy this other command down. That's how we enable DHCP for it. But before we do this, we're just going to copy the new IP. .10 .10 and then it's /200 10.10.10. This is going to be named servers. So we're going to make this again 10.10.10.2. Okay. So that's what we got going on. So before we do everything else, we're going to go ahead and actually make the same thing here. Network objects. All right, we're going to configure the interface situation. And I think there's another thing I did not set up. Check over here. The interface is set to 0. So let me change the security level. That's one thing I need to change on the old interface. So right now we configured everything. We're getting DHCP. It's not working. So, and we're getting, like you can see, everything is it's supposed to be good. But let me change the security. So interface G0/3. Oh, it's actually in this case 2. Security level 100. And then we're gonna enable DHCP and then re-enable again. We're gonna shut down the port to reflect the change. Actually, no need. We fixed it. So our security level being 100 caused us a lot of issues. Now we're good. So a good lesson to learn is don't mess with the security setting or the security level, because when we're setting this up, I'm gonna try to find out where we got the issue from. I have a lot of IP brief moments. That's the G0. So over here, this is the problem we had. We had the security level set to 0, and we had to change that to 100. And then we had to redo the DHCP, enable and disable. Because with the security level being 0, it basically made it to where nothing was working, and we couldn't have that. So we had to change that around. Now we're getting internet connectivity, We're gonna do this another one. Just this time, we're gonna configure it right, and we won't be spending too much time on it. So let's come over here, and I'm gonna do interface. This is the one of the last ports. Interface G0/3, and then we're gonna name this one. Name if servers. Watch the server as the security default probably. So name is if servers is marked the security level by 0 again. We're gonna change the security level. And then we're gonna make it 100 again. I may have to change it later on, but right now that's fine. We're also gonna assign IP address, so we're gonna do IP. The IP address we're going to be assigning is gonna be 10.10.10.1. Subnet mask is gonna be 255.255.255.0. And then we're gonna do no shut to not shut down this again. And then we're gonna check our Visio graph one more time. So what we're doing right now is we're configuring this one, G3. We're making the IP address and everything else. We've done this one already. We're gonna do this one, and then we're gonna, after that, we might actually call it there, and then maybe in the next video we're gonna do ASDM only. So let's go ahead and finish this up. So we're not done yet. So now we did this. If I do show IP brief again, we're gonna take a look real quick. See, the IP address is there, but it's down. So if I change my port to plug my cable into the second one, it's obviously gonna be telling us it's up. And once it's up, then we can do the rest of it. So it's up now. Now we still need to do DHCP settings, and then we go from there. So let's come over here. Our DHCP that we want for this is gonna be the same thing. We're gonna name this one obviously servers. And I need to make sure I spell server exactly the way I wrote it down here. Otherwise it's gonna make it harder to get this working. Yeah, server with S, that's what we have to spell it. Now we're gonna go ahead and copy this DHCBD command. We already prepared it, quick and easy. And we're gonna go ahead, give the IP address on that /10. We're gonna copy the DNS information, so the DNS could be open DNS. And then we're gonna go ahead, copy the DHCP list period. And then we're gonna copy the ping timeout period. And then next we're gonna copy the option which is enabling DHCP for the server. If you don't type this command, nothing will work. So by us typing this command, you can take a look already that we are already connected to this port. Obviously I'm gonna have to shut it off and turn it back on, just so that we get the reflective information. If I turn it back on, we're gonna go ahead, it's enabled. Status, there's no IP right now, it's simply blank. Now we're gonna go ahead and actually type in this command to enable DHCP server. Now we did this, we should get IP shortly. Let's take a look. We're getting IP already, and this is the IP we're getting, 10 10 10 10, all the 10s, and then 10 10 10 10 1, and then DHCP is the DNS is there. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually set the routing, and then we're gonna be done. So the routing information, again, I made my life easier by actually copying, by already setting up the network interface. Instead of a inside over here, we're gonna change this to servers. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and actually copy this command and then we're gonna hit enter. The next thing is, this is our NAT information, how our routing will be set up, and then this is our route, the most important command. And then once we set up the route, it should work. And now this one should work straight away. We don't have a security default issue, and so it should just be able to grab an IP address and start sending packets. You can tell it still hasn't done it yet, but as soon as it takes effect, it should be able to do that. There you go. You can see it's doing it. We have done it. There you go. It has internet connectivity, and we were able to set it up. So that's all we did in this case, and it's really a lot. And we can see we have internet connectivity. It's all fine and dandy. I am super happy about it. Now we did a lot of work, obviously, because we done a lot of setup. We need to start saving our setup. So we did set up 2 different subnet, one for Nutanix, one for servers. We named them exactly that, and then we were able to connect to make sure that we can get internet connectivity. And then we also need to document our DHCP lease for all of them. In this case, it's gonna be 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10. That's what it's gonna be. 10 10 10, and then here 10 10 10 200. All right, so basically I'm feeling good about this. I haven't done networking in a long time, but so far it's refreshing my memory, and I'm actually seeing the resolve we have. So let me show you something else. Right now it's showing that we are using the Wi-Fi interface, which is wrong because we are actually connected to the internet with the Ethernet cable, and you can see that by us unplugging the cable, plugging back in. Yeah, so another successful setup. The next video which you want to see is going to be accessing the ASDM, because that's what we need to do this. A lot of this we done on the command line CLI. It's fun, but if you don't have all these commands, you don't know which command to run, then you're gonna have a problem with it. But in this case, you can see I actually did myself a favor by putting down the command line and everything else in order. I have all this set up to where it's easier for me, and I don't have to worry about messing it up. So especially when you're new to the Cisco world, you best gotta do that for yourself, because otherwise you're just gonna be running in circles figuring out which command is what. So this is what I do. I always save my commands if I find something helpful. And obviously right now we're done with this one, and I don't think that there's anything else for us left to do. We can disconnect from Wi-Fi, but as soon as we do, just know that it won't be good, because then we will lose our RDP. That's what we're gonna need to do next time on the video. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you watching. If you like this type of video, you want to see what's next on the Cisco ASA world, please like and subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to you next time. Peace.